Hello everyone, this is Teacher Wayne, and I'm going to be doing a basic introduction to using Unity, and this is the 2018 version, to create a 3D environment. This is quite a simple 20-minute tutorial I'm just going to create on how to do that, and I'm going to probably get an AI character to chase us around the board just as a quick intro, just to sort of introduce A, how to use it, and B, how easy it is to create an environment in Unity. Now this is the 2018 version of Unity. Previous versions of Unity, things are a little bit different, but I've noticed that in this recent version that you now have to go on the asset store and download assets separately for each individual project, which is getting, Unity is getting a little bit like the Unreal Engine in that aspect. Can be, I find that a little bit annoying, because one thing I liked about Unity is it was distinct from the Unreal, and now it's almost becoming a bit unreal, too unrealish for me. But anyway, that whinge over with. We've got this tag called Asset Store, which is new to this version of 2018, and I searched for standard assets. I got this, and then I just clicked import, and then here in my assets tag I've got a standard assets folder created. That's the first thing you need to do to follow this little tutorial, is download the standard assets. Previous version, you can still follow this tutorial from previous versions, but you had to asset the assets in this way: assets, import assets, and they used to be here, and you could click on them that way and download them separately. It was a different version in Unity 5, and Unity 2017 I believe did that as well. So anyway, let's get back to my scene. So here's a blank scene, it's got nothing in it. I'm just using the standard WASD keys and pressing the left mouse button to navigate the map. Fairly standard game engine controls here. So here we are. I've got two elements. I've got the main camera and I've got a directional light. Yeah, there's the main camera. It's looking that way, and the directional light's there. So I'm going to create an environment here. So first thing we want to do is, for our environment, is we want to create a terrain. So if we look in here in game objects at the top, we have a 3D object. We go down and we find terrain and click on that, and there you are. You get this white large plane. I'll just double click on terrain, it'll just zoom it out for me. Don't worry about the colors, it just does this baking constantly. You're going to see a lot of it baking and the colors changing throughout this tutorial. Pay no attention to it. It's just a standard component of the Unity game engine itself. So if we look here, now my focus of this tutorial is to look at this bit here, terrain. I'm going to add some other bits in addition to it. I'm going to add some water, for example, that won't be in there, and we will be adding a FPS controller and a third person AI controller that's going to sort of follow us around the map a little bit, so we can actually wander around our map and explore it. Anyway, so this is my terrain. Let me just go through the functionality of how to do things with this terrain. We've got different things we can do here. We've got raise and lower terrain. We click left shift, it raises it up. If you notice there, that's the paintbrush there, because that's what I happen to pick, but there's loads of paintbrushes here we can pick. Don't click left click on there at the moment, because we're going to do something first to sort out the terrain height. This one here sets the terrain height. Now, because I want to put some water features in, there's certain areas of the terrain I'm going to basically create depressions to put my lakes in. So I want to raise the entire landscape up to actually dig down and push it down so I can put some lakes in it. So that's what I'm going to do first. So before I even do anything else, can you see it says height here, and it's 50. That's perfectly fine with me. You can set it to whatever height you want, but I suggest 50 is a good one. Click flatten, and when I click on that, watch what happens. It all jumps up 50, a height of 50 game units. So there, it's doing a bit of baking there, as you can see. So I've raised the entire height 50. So that's for raising and lowering it. That's to set the terrain height, which is quite useful. This is smooth height. In other words, when we start creating our landscape, it allows us to create almost like weathered features, but where rain affects a landscape, that sort of thing. The most useful tool I find is this paintbrush, where we can actually paint different colours and different textures on our map. This tag here allows me to add trees. This one allows me to add like grass and other sort of foliage, and this one is just the entire settings, how big the map is, detail density, tree distance, tree detail. There's loads of things we can set. If you notice, see the resolution for this map is 500 width by 500 length by 600 height. That's the actual map details. Now obviously I could change these values here and it would make the terrain a lot bigger. Now obviously a lot bigger, a lot more space it's used, the more processor power it is. I suggest you don't do that. I suggest you just keep it to the default. Oops. It makes things easier. If you've got a higher spec PC than mine, and mine's a fairly reasonable spec machine, then you might want to play about with that. But just for demo purposes, stick to the defaults. Anyway, so first thing I'm going to do is the paint. We're going to add a bit of texture to this white thing. So because I've now added my standard assets, I've got some textures in. So I'll click edit texture and add texture. And here we are, we have the texture, and then we have what's the actual terrain effects, the actual sort of, I forgot the name of it, the actual how smooth or not smooth it is. It gives it a 3D effect. So I'm going to click select here. Anyway, I have some defaults. If I'm going to scroll down, and there's 3 I'm looking for, and there they are, grass hill and grass rock. So that's grass hill, add, and it changes by default the entire colour of the map. And as you can see, it's doing a bit of processing there, adding it. Add textures. Let's add another one, and let's add the other one, which is grass rocky, and add that. So I've got 2 textures now, but I would like to add another one where I can add a bit more, make it a bit more interesting. So I'm going to look now for this one here, mud rock. Add that one, and this one here I'm going to add the other element. Find mud rock. There it is. See what happens there is it actually adds them together, and it gives it a sort of a bumpy effect, gives it more of a 3D effect. And if we paint over it, I've got different tabs. I'm just going to select that texture there. You can see a difference. So now if I zoom it in, you see it gives it a sort of 3D element. It gives it a bit more texture, and it looks very different between there's one area, there's another area, and there's the green default. It just gives you different textures you can play about with. So I'm going to play about with this bit, but before I do that, I'm going to actually add a bit of terrain. What I'd like to do is add like a mountain all the way around the edge of my map. So let's do that. So we'll go back to here, raise lower terrain. I'm going to pick a paintbrush, make it a bit interesting, click that one, and then just go around and you see what's happening here. Let's change the paintbrush a bit here. Yeah. Oops. Oh, so I'm going to raise and lower terrain. Let's go and raise and lower the terrain a bit. It's going to do a lot of processing here as I go along, because it's trying to change it. It's recognizing that everything's changing this map. It's baking it. It's what's called as baking it, as it tries to process it, the actual changes. So I'm just adding some funky terrain and a few more brushes. Having a little bit of play about, and I'm also going to try this smooth height and just sort of smooth it all out a bit, put some like erosion effect on it, and then I'm going to paint that rocky stuff there. Click and then just paint it with that paintbrush there. I know the colours are going out while it's doing it, don't worry about that. Yeah, let's have a look at that. Click off it, let's have a look. So zooming in. There we are. Some nice effects. Let's just make it a little bit higher. The point is, I wanted the edge of the map so no one can actually run off it. You don't want your main character running off into oblivion, do you? So let's sort him out. I mean, I'm just doing this quite quick, but you can take your time doing this if you want. Right, so I have a basic terrain here now. So let's have a think about this. So what we want to do is we want to add some green trees. We want to add some trees around here, add some lakes, and a sort of terrain to run around. Well, I want to run around this with my main character. I'm just going to do a bit of painting actually, because I've got all these lovely paintbrushes. So let's have a bit of fun. Put some grasses on it. Click on that one there. Oops. Click away. Just make it all. It's not the same-ish. Trees. So I'm going to add some trees. So once again, edit trees, add trees, and then this time you click on that little button there, and there's 3 types of trees. We've got broadleaf, this one here. Let's have that one. Edit trees, add trees, click. Let's have that one. Edit trees, add trees, click, and let's have conifer, add. I think those are the only trees that are available in this standard asset package. Yeah, that's it. There's other things you can see, planes and stuff, but we don't want any of those. So now, just a word of caution, don't click that button that says mass place. It's a very useful way, it says, of adding the entire map and filling it with trees, but I would don't actually start to do that, because it will, if you don't know what you're doing, just create a massive forest over the entire map and you won't be able to move, because it will just kill your processor. What I suggest you do what I'm going to do, is pick a tree, make your brush quite large and reduce the density, pick a tree and then just click, and then it adds some trees. Click another type of tree, click another type of tree, and click and click. That way there. I've added some trees and they're not too overpoweringly dense. Oops. My machine, you notice my machine was lagging out as it's trying to process adding all these trees, and there we are. They're all different types of trees now. And I'm just having to zoom around, just showing you the different types, and they're all sort of interspersed with each other. You don't want it too heavy with trees, it would just start to look very messy. So I've just got a few and that's all I want. And now I'm going to create a lake. I'm going to create like a lake sort of like over here, and maybe another one over here. So once again, terrain, I'm going to use the rise and low, but I'm going to use that brush there, so it will give me a nice funky effect. And I'm going to press shift this time, and this time it's created a depression. Can you see? A little depression there, which is great. Shift and a little depression here. Why not have another one? I'm doing little lakes. Oops, that's going up. There, gone down. In fact, maybe a bit mad doing that, but there you are. I'm going to create a larger lake there. So I've created like a large lake and a little lake there. So let's put some water in it. So standard assets. Environment. There's loads of stuff in here. I'm only going through some of the basics, but now there's 2 types of water here. One's like an advanced water and a less advanced. I'm going to stick with the basic one because it makes it easy. And you go to prefabs, and then you've got 2. You got water night and water day. So let's pick the day one and just drag and drop. Now this is very much like I find this very much like Unreal Engine. So you drag and drop it, and it adds a little tiny square of water. You don't think, what's happened here? But you want to move this up around a bit. And then I'm going to use the tools at the top here and scale it. I'm going to get it so when I stretch it out it stretches better. There. Yeah, let's stretch it out a bit. There we are. No, I don't want it too high. I want it quite high up there. So the Y is the height. So the Y of this is 40. Let's set this at 47. It keeps it easy. Because I'm going to make the other lake the same height. Make it a bit realistic. Then you don't want lakes different height now, do you? Let's add another water basics. Should be there. First thing I'm going to set is the Y at 47. So it's the same height. And then I'm going to stretch it. Oof. Got it. So I've got another water there and it's the same height, 47. So now we have created a basic landscape. It's got 2 lakes on it. We've got some different trees on it. Oh, let's add some grass, shall we? I talked about grass earlier. So click there, paint detail, edit detail, add grass texture. Click there and let's find a grass. There's lots of different grasses here. Let's find them. Frond, cool. So let's just pick, I don't know, that one. And then add. And there we have a thing. Now, once again, let's make the brush big. Picking that brush there. Keep it target strength quite low, that's good. There's loads of things we can do, but let's click. Now you can see it all out, there's nothing happening. Let's zoom in and see what happens. You will find as you zoom in, yeah, loads of grass appears. It is a lot of grass. You've got to be a bit careful. I'm going to make it a bit more. In fact, that's too dense. Undo. Oops, wrong button. Let's see a look. Click that brush there. Just a bit of grass, please. Now the ones that you see I'm clicking far ones, they don't look like they're doing that, but they are. It's just I can't see them yet. If I zoom in, they'll appear. Yeah. Yeah, I've got grass everywhere. It's good. I've got some nice grass appearing. That's what I wanted. So now I've got grass as well. Excellent. Right, the one more thing to do is let's create a character and have a wander around. So if we go back to standard assets, quite straightforward, and we go to characters. There we are. Characters. First person prefabs, FPS controller and a rigid body. Let's create the FPS controller and just drag and drop, and that's going to be us. We're looking through a first person controller, so we don't see our own body, but we can look around. And then we want another character, an AI character. Go back to characters again, third person, prefabs, but this time we can have an AI. So let's drag and drop the AI, put him there. Let's have a look at him. He's different. He's actually got a body now. Ooh. It's called Ethan. If you look here, Ethan body. This is Ethan. He's got very plain textures. We can actually edit and change his colours and mess about with him, but I'm not going to bother with this tutorial. Just get him there. The important thing with Ethan, he comes with what's known as the Nav Mesh. Now Nav Mesh allows artificial intelligence characters, NPCs, however you want to call them, to navigate around a map. Now we want this chap to wander around the map, and we want him to be able to follow us and catch up with us. Eventually we want to fight him and stuff like that, but for this scenario we just want him to follow us around. So how do we do that? If we click on this character here, a person controller, scroll down here, you've got a target. It says AI character control and it says target. We need him to target us. FPS controller, we just drag and we drop. Can you see what I did? I dragged and dropped there and it appears there. So target, in other words, he will automatically go to us, but he won't at the moment because he's got no nav mesh. If I click to navigation, we've got this here, and this is the navigation mesh for him. And what we want to do is, because it's included with this character, we want to bake it. And if I click bake, just give it a minute, it will create a nav mesh. There we are. Now this nav mesh shows you, look at that, all the blue is what this character can actually access. Now you notice when I created my terrain, I thought I made it impassable, but if you look, you can go right up there, which is no good. So I'd have to, if I was making this into a game, when I was baking my mesh and I saw this, I'd have to change all my environment to make sure that this character can't wander off the map. So you've got to be careful about your environment, trying to make it so that it's a closed environment. If you want a game that's closed, or you want your guy to jump off into oblivion, it's up to you, but I suspect you want it closed. Anyway, if I press play now, let me just quickly save this project and then click play. Let's see what happens. Oh right, I'm there. I'm wandering in the grass, I'm jumping, I'm looking, and some sounds. Oh, here we are. There's Ethan. Hello Ethan, go away. Let's have a look at the lakes. It's got a funny little animation going on there. I don't know what's happening there. It's a bit of a bug. What are you doing? It's jumping on me. It's funny. I think it's something's not quite right there, but it's quite funny. I find it amusing. Oh, he stopped having a fit and he's chasing after me now. I find that amusing. I'm running. It's quite a slow speed. I could make my speed faster if I wanted to. But it's just nice wandering through the grass, looking at the trees, and having a look around. And oh, there he is. He's following me around. That's what we want. I want to press escape. Right, okay, this is Teacher Wayne signing off from his Unity 3D environment demonstration. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.